classical to jazz. Good morning and welcome home to the Monte Vista Unitarian Universalist congregation as we gather today to recognize Father's Day for those of us who celebrate it, recognizing that for some people it's a difficult time. I would like to start by thanking everybody that helped with Maddie's service yesterday. I mean, I know Debbie and Terry were involved, Shirley was involved, and can we give them a... Thank you, guys. And if you read your weekly community connections, you'll realize that there's a little want ad in there for people to help with the Sunday morning coffee refreshments. And part of that reason is Debbie and Terry are going on the board. So we need some relief. So any of us that can show up a little early an occasional Sunday and make some coffee, help with the treats, please let Terry know or Shirley know. General Assembly begins Wednesday, and Laura will be one of our delegates virtually, and Julie Steinbach will be in person at GA. So next Sunday is RE Sunday, and there will be a party on the picnic on the patio after the service. So stick around, enjoy the food. Gathering Around Grief Support Group meets here Wednesday, 7 p.m. in the Founders Room. Cups, our circle of UU pagans, will be celebrating the solstice next Friday at 7. Doors open at 7. The ritual starts at 7:30. Everybody's invited. And by July 9th, there'll be a packing party for the Calapayan Church. Our people are going middle of July to go visit the Philippines, and we're invited to bring items, gently used clothing, school stuff, and so that they can carry it over rather than shipping it. They're going to hopefully take extra suitcases with the stuff. So that's July 9th after the service. So thank you very much, Reverend Maggie.
Good morning, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. I'm wearing this hat to keep the flow of yesterday's funeral for Maddie Scully going. We all had hats that once belonged to Maddie, right, Lily? So, yeah. But thank you all for being here today. It is good to be back here. After being, 3 weeks out of the pulpit, it felt like 6 months to me. But it is so good to be back. One of the things that we've been doing every month is early on in the month, we like to celebrate everybody who's having a birthday that month. We don't have the choir with us today, so that means all of you have to sing extra loud and in harmony. No, that's never required for happy birthday, never. But we have some pretty cool people that have birthdays in June. Anybody else here that can raise their hand to that? We have Jeannie, Letha, Megan, Meg, wow, Jaryus. Also Catherine Rowley, her birthday is Tuesday. And of course, Maddie Scully's birthday is today, and that's why we had the funeral for her planned yesterday. So let's, if you like singing, sitting, that's fine, or stand up and we'll sing Happy Birthday June Babies. That'll be the name we use. So, Lily? Beautiful, beautiful, and many more. You got it. Let's check. I just want to check on our those that are visiting us on Zoom. Big welcome to you as well. This morning, I have a video that was sent out by the UUA, and it's a special little farewell greeting from our UUA president, Susan Frederick Gray, who is actually a friend when she was here as a minister in Phoenix area, but she's finished already with her presidency. So it's about 7 minutes long, so get comfortable, and here is the message from Susan.
Hello, Unitarian Universalists. I'm Susan Frederick Gray, president of your Unitarian Universalist Association. And as I enter the last few weeks of my time as president, I wanted to share some of the things I'm proudest of and offer reflections on what is on the horizon for our tradition. I am so grateful for the ways that Unitarian Universalists have and continue to show up courageously on the front lines for justice. I am proud of the work that we have done to advance racial equity, to develop an incredibly diverse UUA staff, and to invest in Black, Indigenous, and people of color communities in Unitarian Universalism. Fulfilling the Promise and the Practice campaign to invest in Black lives of Unitarian Universalism is just one vivid example. I'm proud of the Commission on Institutional Changes report, Widening the Circle of Concern, which has become an essential guide for dismantling white supremacy culture in our tradition and building practices of beloved community across our association. And we are now 3 years into implementing the recommendations of that report. And as part of strengthening our justice and organizing ministry in the midst of unprecedented attacks against democracy, Unitarian Universalists contacted millions of voters through UU the Vote in 2020 and 2022, and we already are gearing up for 2024. And every day in states all across the country, UUs are showing up unequivocally and courageously for trans and non-binary people and for the rights of LGBTQ people, for BIPOC communities, and for people living with disabilities. In solidarity and partnership, we are advocating for reproductive justice, including access to abortion, and we are strengthening our work in climate activism. And we have weathered a pandemic, a devastating pandemic together by centering care and nurturing our spiritual community, supporting the most vulnerable within and beyond our congregations with both creativity and commitment. And I know that we are all weary from the enormity of what we've experienced in the last few years and the acute injustices of these times. But love remains our constant and reminds us that we are interconnected, that we belong to each other. We have done amazing things, and I know this work will continue. I am so excited for our next president and confident in how new leadership will guide us through these continuing fraught times. And I also realize that for some Unitarian Universalists, the focus on anti-racism and dismantling white supremacy culture and patriarchy has been challenging. Change is difficult. Yet the vast majority of UUs have affirmed again and again the importance of this work through decisions made by our delegates at General Assembly. This culture change work is exciting and life-giving, and it is essential for the growth and relevance of our tradition. It is important for nurturing the just and equitable multicultural world that we dream, a world where everyone belongs and everyone can thrive. And what saddens me, what really breaks my heart, is that despite the consistent, overwhelming support for this work, there remain small, uncompromising groups that seek to undermine the democratic process by obstructing their congregations and the UUA into living our commitments. As UUs, we will never all think alike. We will not all agree on anything, but we can be in beloved community and hold diversity of opinions. But what is damaging is when individuals, especially those with privilege, break covenant, attack the motives of leaders, undermine their leaders and ministry, and insist on their own way against the will of a community. This is damaging to our congregations and our tradition as a whole. We are at an important moment in our history as a country and as Unitarian Universalists. This is a time to come together in covenant and commitment and respect, even as the road may be bumpy and rough. And we have a special obligation in this time, a special obligation to listen and understand the communities and people who have been historically and who are still so often marginalized in society. This is a necessary part of affirming the inherent worth and dignity of every person. This is a moment of great challenge and culture change in our world. And we must remember that our values, our faith matters in this moment. Our ministry and our congregations are needed. Would we are bold and unwavering, leading from our values and love, we create change in this world, powerful change for good. And so as my tenure comes to a close, I am reflecting on what an enormous privilege it has been to serve as UUA president. Our faith represents both continuity and steadfastness in the midst of this moment of transition. And I send each and every one of you much love and many blessings as we embark on the next chapter for the UUA and for our faith. I am so excited and ready for what comes next.
A beautiful message that is probably available for replay at uua.org, but I'll also put a link to it in our community connections that are coming out this Thursday. And as we turn now to open our service, I invite you to join me as we ring the bowl 3 times. This is actually George's temple bell that he allowed me to steal from its place in our home. We ring the bowl 3 times, once for those who came before. The Tongva, our ancestors, and our founding members. We ring it once for those of us here and now. Our members, our friends, our staff, our visitors, and other UUs throughout the world. And a special little bit of love for Susan as she steps down from presidency in difficult days. And once for those who will come. all who will walk beside us on the ever unfolding path ahead. We are thankful, and we're going to sing about that. And I invite you to stand as we sing together our opening song, number 1010, We Give Thanks. And I'd like to invite Meg Matthias up to light our chalice for this morning's service. Our chalice lighting words are, as today's commemoration of fatherhood celebrates love, acceptance, and guidance, we know of some who need to tell their truth in a different story. The spirit of this day holds a feeling of deep gratitude for nurturance, while there are those who are saddened by loss and estrangement. For some, fatherhood brings a warm fondness and the longing for closeness, but some have no father story at all. But we make a holding space for all of our feelings about having or not having, for being or not being. We light this chalice flame in honor of each and every unique experience on this very, very special Father's Day. This symbol of our faith holds all of who we are, and all that we can be together. I invite you now to join me as we read our covenant together. You'll find the words maybe on the screen. Yeah, there it is. We affirm that love is the greatest purpose of this congregation. The search for truth is our constant star, and service is our prayer. We pledge our hearts, minds, and hands to challenge injustice with courage, to find hope in times of fear, and to live out our Unitarian Universalist values every day as beloved community. Thus do we covenant with each other and with all that is sacred in life. And I invite you to stand as you're comfortable as we sing together, Spirit of Life. Seated. Everyone but Robert. Robert will be giving us our wisdom tale for today. It is written by Rayla Matson, and the title is Big Shoes to Fill.
Good morning, everybody. It baffles me how some kids are just running around with no shoes on. Rocks and dirt and sticks and grime all adhere to their feet. I wear my shoes from the time I wake up until I climb in bed at night. They may not always be my best shoes, but something is always on my feet. It drives me up the wall to see kids running around barefoot, but I keep my mouth shut. I have read articles about how it's not good to walk around the house with the shoes you wear outside, and that some people feel healthy to be without the constraints of shoes on their feet. I've also read about diseases that find their way into your body and bloodstream through cuts and sores on your feet. I realize that both can be right or wrong, but I still refuse to walk around barefoot, and I also refuse to dictate what others do. My dad wore shoes. He grew up in rural Georgia where shoes were a sign of wealth. The population of the town was 500, and most of the people were farmers who couldn't afford shoes for all of their children. But my grandfather did well as a farmer, and he believed strongly that if he had enough money so that all 7, 8, 9, or whatever number of children he had were able to wear shoes, then they were all going to wear them. And don't let him catch you without them on. That mentality stuck with my father. If he could afford to buy us shoes, then we best have them on. So I never take mine off. Not because they're some type of status symbol, but because that was what my grandfather taught my father, and my father taught me, and I'm used to it. I appreciate the path that my ancestors walked, but also I recognize that I add to their path in my own way, and I still honor the road that they paved. As I wear my shoes, and I honor the big shoes of theirs that I fill, may we never forget the road our ancestors paved for us. May we honor and lift up in the ways that we walk. May we also remember that we too will one day be ancestors to the generations that follow. And may they be honored by the road that we have paved for them, whether or not they choose to wear shoes as they follow. And so ends our story today. So you guys can sing me out to our classroom. It looks like we're going to have either the kids are all out celebrating Father's Day, or we're going to have a lot of kids on Zoom. So I will find out when I head down to class. But if Jaryus wants to put the lyrics up and you guys can play us out. Thank you.
Today's offering message comes at a time when we stand and place a flag in that in-between space after the adoption of our new budget and the end of the current one. As we wind down these last few weeks of our fiscal year, we know that part of putting that new budget in place is the importance of the fulfilling of the commitments that we made in our pledges to the current year's strong financial footing. We know that our financial gifts to this congregation come from the sacrifice and the hard work of everyone who donates. And we offer gratitude for this as we commit together to ensure that all of the funds that we gather collectively do a greater good than they could if they had been done alone. So thank you all for your generous hearts. And let's take this moment to offer our gratitude for all of the ways that we have offered our essential support to our community and to do all of the good work we're doing to strengthen our future together. We know in our hearts that sharing our offerings as community is an expression of good stewardship that blesses us all. If you wish to bring an offering that you have with you today, please come forward while we listen to the beautiful offertory that Lily has prepared for us. And leave your gifts and non-perishable foods and healthcare items for the Beta Center of Inland Valley Hope Partners. It is with deep gratitude for the many gifts of our community that our offerings will now be given and received. One of the traditions of our congregation is to share the joys and the sorrows of life that bubble up for each of us. We have these little yellow papers at the door or over on the table. And I have two that have been submitted, and I have a couple other A couple other ones that were on my mind this week that I'll share with you. This one comes from Alan and Letha. Their son Michael had a successful surgery last Monday, and he's doing well. It's wonderful. We're really grateful for that. May healing continue. And this is a joy, but a sorrow for us in a way. Ellen and Maribel are about to set out on a journey. They will be visiting the Quinns and renewing their wedding vows of the Campbells after 40 years on a very long journey. But you'll be back mid-July before I leave for the Philippines, right? Yeah.
I'll be at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. What's the name of the
Oh, Bellingham.
Bellingham.
Oh, where Rita is.
And then we're going to Canada.
You'll see. Oh, wonderful. So you're going out of the country.
I'm going out.
All right. Blessings on your journey. Yeah. We look forward to hearing about it when you get back. We'll be thinking of you and missing you as well. I have both. Oh, here's a couple more. Yeah. Oh, Amina is on a plane right now. Yeah, right now to the University of Washington on an internship for a neuro lab for 8 weeks. Great. Blessings on Amina. Yeah. I put, as I was preparing the text for today's service, it was before the funeral, so I just put 2 words in there, Maddie's funeral. But now that it is something that we all enjoyed and embraced yesterday, I just want to say, yeah, Maddie's funeral was such a joy and such a sorrow, perfectly woven together. And I just want to thank everyone who brought their energy here and or offered their concerns for everyone that was celebrating Maddie's life. There are many hats. That's all I can say about Maddie. There are many hats, and there are left over that are on the table back there. If you find one that fits you, you're welcome to take it. And also some of her other accomplishments and awards are still here. Yeah. Also, this week in a meeting, and I'm not sure if he is here on Zoom or able to be here on Zoom or not, but we have a message from Vasudev. You remember months ago that his baby sister Mona had a stroke. She lives in Austin, Texas, and Vasu had traveled many times to go help her, encourage her, and push her to do her exercises and recover from the stroke. But it's sad that Mona did pass away this week from the effects of the stroke that she had. So Vasu will be traveling to Austin with some of his family that came all the way from India to stay with him, and then they're all traveling to Austin together. So we wish Vasu safe travel and blessings for that journey. Out of, I think he said 11. Yeah, 11 siblings. There are now two left in his family. His brother who lives in Canoga Park, and he himself here in Claremont with us are the 2 that are left. Also, I have a great joy, and I give lots of you encouragement and permission to jump out of your chair and cheer as I embarrass Brian Bennett, who has made a decision to rejoin the congregation. So, yay! Thank you. It's wonderful. Welcome home. And now, in our time of prayer and meditation, and cane falling is okay. Oh, we do have 4 messages in the chat. Oh, Don Moore is in the chat. Thank you. I have a joy. I'm very pleased with how the Zoom presentation looks, finally. In 3 short years, we went from Zoom on a laptop to basically a TV broadcast. And I am so grateful to our community and Jaryus. He is doing a terrific job. Yes, you are. You are. And happy birthday. Yeah. So as we enter a time of prayer and meditation, I invite you to pause for a moment and bring your full awareness into this sanctuary and this sacred space, to remember your breath, and without changing it, just to notice. Often when we meditate, we close our eyes, but this morning, I invite you to keep your eyes open. Open your eyes, your ears, your hands, your hearts, and notice the aliveness that is in your body. Can you hear your own heart and your own breath? And can you feel it? Notice the aliveness of those around you and the aliveness of this sacred space. Let your senses be awakened here and open to color and shape, sound and light, to music and breath, to the spirit of life that animates all beings. This is a house of worship, our house of worship. We gather here to wonder together and to give worth and meaning to our lives, to honor the presence and mystery of the divine that greets us in our coming in and our going out, in our very being and in our being here. We have brought our whole selves, all of who we are, the storms and the joys of being human. We have brought our dreams for this religious community and our passions for the values that we cherish most. I invite you to bring your consciousness to your dreams for our house of worship, for this community that we love and care for. What dreams do you bring? What blessings will you offer? What word of hope and inspiration do you carry? Let us take a moment of silence together, and in this silence, allow a word of blessing, a word of hope, a word of intention to spring from your heart. We'll end our silence when Lily leads us in our gentle song for today, Comfort Me, number 1002. Our reading today is presented to acknowledge Juneteenth, the federal holiday that marks the official freeing of enslaved people in Texas. On June 19th, 1865, a full 2.5 years after President Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. Juneteenth is an opportunity for all Americans to unite under a common mission to learn from our past and use it to improve the future. In this community, we believe that discussing history truthfully and using its lessons to inform our future seeds empowerment, and it's racially unifying. But let's listen to a reflection on a blessing from a Nigerian chief that was given to a gathering of our people in Maine on Juneteenth last year, 2022. It's called Blessed When the World Has Fallen Apart, and it's written by Vanessa Titang. The world has fallen apart, though this is not the first time. It is just one of the times where it is all too much, intentionally crafted by mortal powers that be and not ordained by divinity. Weakened but not dead, I remind myself, and yesterday I was again reminded of ancestors who have been tasked similarly. But what is next? What do I do now when my back has been given far too much weight to bear and when the final straw is placed? I did not know what I needed until it was before me. A spirit of power and memory, backlit by the warm glow of summer sun, a masked figure, familiar to family I do not know, and my predecessors speaking in a language that I do not know, but I understood. The slow, careful sound of ankle bells, an emotion to come forth welcomed me in and back and back, back in time and space, back. This has happened before, and yet here we are still. A blessing given of memory, of protection, of our shared connection. I cannot know the intention, but I felt it. We all felt it. Let us not forget, never forget this moment or all that brought us here in time and space. Remembering past, present, and that we are not done. This is always just beginning. We are our ancestors' wildest dreams. And may we be our descendants' bravest heroes, the keepers of the flame, knowing that we are the ones that we've been waiting for. And thus, let's go. When the choir's not here, I always put a special music piece just before the sermon. And I'm always tempted to say, well, that's it, folks. That was so beautiful. Thank you so much for the message it brought us. But sitting down to prepare a meaningful message for today's worship after 3 Sundays away took some serious kickstart magic. I set out doing a bit more of the wandering and wondering that I did in the forest groves of upstate New York. I spent time reflecting on our most common definition of worship, which is the inspiration and intention that we share as we make time to gather and allow ourselves to stand in awe and wonder at the things that move us with belonging, knowing, and curiosity about the seen and unseen spirit of life that draws us near. Some might be comfortable calling that God. My attention peaked with the word in the middle of the definition, wonder. And across the ages, humanity has been drawn by wonder. And while we might giggle at the fact that because we're Unitarian Universalists, we would each wonder at different aspects of the seen and the unseen elements of life, there are lists of wonders that our ancestors have compiled. The lists have varied over time, But even the shortest time spent in research shows that any of the lists that were compiled across history seems to come in groups of 7. So looking at the 7 wonders seemed fitting for us today too. And maybe we can leave room to explore that elusive 8th wonder of the world and what that might be for each of us. For me, it's my grandson. The original 7 wonders that were compiled in the 2nd century are the Great Pyramid of Giza, which is the only one that's still standing of this 7. Others are the Colossus of Rhodes, the Lighthouse of Alexandria, the Mausoleum at Halicarnassus, the Temple of Artemis, the statue of Zeus at Olympia, and the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. Encyclopedia Britannica provides us with a second list of the new 7 wonders, voted in by over 700 million online votes cast and compiled in 2007. The Great Wall of China, Chichen Itza, a Mayan city in the Yucatan Peninsula, Petra in Jordan, Machu Picchu in Peru, which I know George has visited, maybe others as well, the statue of Christ the Redeemer at Rio de Janeiro, the Colosseum in Rome, and the Taj Mahal in India. So whether we align with this updated list, or we stick with the original 7, or we can name 7 reasons why our sacred sites should be listed. I was hoping to see Niagara Falls. We can appreciate all of the wonders of our world that are named here as physical locations on our planet that have touched the spirits of many who have visited. But let's wonder, what might our own list of the 7 wonders look like? Would they be locations that you have been to? Perhaps Yosemite? Or maybe you'd like to visit? What if the list contained aspects of your spiritual life, like a meditation image that brings you your sense of wonder that you carry in your life? Perhaps a place that you've envisioned during guided imagery, or you've dreamt about many, many times. What places have you read about in your favorite books or seen in films that you find full of wonder? I invite you to make a list of your own senses of wonder from your spiritual practice time during the week ahead, which is also my nudge to make sure you take spiritual practice time. Maybe the guys in here can use that little notebook that you got, hopefully you got in your little gift bag at the door. If not, please pick one up following the service. For today, I invite you to wonder with me about a list that has no specific physical location attached to it, nor any kind of boundaries that will limit the awe that you can draw upon. It's a list we can all treasure and dig into when we need it. It can be shared with others in our lives. And the 7 wonders that we stand in awe of today are to see, to hear, to taste, to smell, to feel, to laugh, and to love. Let's give each of them a moment of our attention. To see, Joyce Kilmer's words might come to many of us. She wrote, "I think that I shall never see a poem as lovely as a tree whose hungry mouth is pressed against the earth's sweet flowing breast, a tree that looks at God all day and lifts her leafy arms to pray, a tree that may in summer wear a nest of robins in her hair, upon whose bosom snow has lain, who intimately lives with rain. Poems are made of fools like me, but only God can make a tree." The trees that several of us sat with while we were up at Camp de Benneville with the Unitarian Universalist Church of Pacific UU and several members from the UU congregation in Fullerton last weekend were, without question, filled with wonder and sights to behold. Seeing the burn scars from last year's El Dorado fire was telling of how close we came to actually losing our camp. And right along the same path, the teeny oaks that were springing up everywhere brought hope and wonder. Seeing so many people up at camp again was such a joy, and sharing our stories about the past 3 years of pandemic, how they've affected all of our congregations, left us all wondering and feeling the compassion that we shared for the ways that we have all struggled. But yet it was a wonder to hear. To hear. Martin Prechtel writes, "You sit singing on a little rock in the middle of a pond, and your song makes a ripple that goes out to the shores where the spirits live. And when it hits the shore, it sends back an echo toward you, and that echo is spiritual nutrition." I received some of the best spiritual nutrition just a few weeks ago, hearing the pitter-patter of my grandson's feet during the week before Memorial Day as he ran toward us on the wooden deck that connected their cabin to ours on Osgood Pond in the Adirondack Mountains of New York State. I can still hear his nearly 4-year-old voice yelling, "Grammy!" as he popped over in the early morning to sit with me and sip some morning tea together, listening for the loons as if we'd never been separated. And last Sunday, as we were gathering for worship in the outdoor sanctuary at camp, just a stone's throw away from the lodge, and we sang, "Come, come, whoever you are," to those who were slowly finding their way over. It was a great thing to hear the wind in the trees as the morning fog rolled in to drop wet kisses on all of us. Shirley and Steve are nodding, yeah. It can bring us a great sense of wonder to simply listen and to hear the voices of nature that we all so easily ignore without an intentional turning. The sound of singing, of us singing Spirit of Life together this morning was also a wonderful moment. And the wonder of being able to hear was an incredible blessing. We sound delicious together. Ah, to taste. There is so much wonder woven into the sharing of good food with good friends and those of like mind who enjoy spending time together, especially during these meaningful and difficult days. Many of us were able to offer hospitality to Maddie Scully's family and friends yesterday as we tasted our grief over her sudden death together. Yes, taste is a source of wonder. It's not only about what we eat. Our memory has a sense of taste. I can taste SpaghettiOs when I see that label. Yeah. And we hunger for justice so bad that we can taste it. And we get a taste of our own medicine when what goes around comes around. And we can have good taste in decorating or dressing, and we might have poor taste in boyfriends. And we're left with a sour taste when someone treats us in a way that just plain stinks to smell. Many sources confirm that our sense of smell has the strongest memory. And I know when I was in those Adirondack Mountains with my family, the air inside our cabin smelled exactly like the cabin my grandparents had on Oneida Lake when I was a child. What an incredible wonder it is to time travel so quickly and to feel the presence of my gram just one short sniff. In our home, George often showers first and goes downstairs to grind and brew the coffee. And the smell is an incredible motivator for me to rise and shine. Almost as if the smell is filled with a megadose of caffeine. And the smell of the flowers this spring seemed to have been overflowing with wonder like no other year since I've been here, 11 years, because of all the rain that we've had. The jasmine, the citrus blooms, the gardenias have just been otherworldly. There's also an overabundance of wonder in the ways that we can smell trouble. Sensing something rotten in Denmark is an intuitive gift that can give us protection from harm, and it nudges us toward better decisions. And we can just feel the smelliness sometimes and run for the hills before we regret anything. And our capacity to feel is probably the most wonderful of all. To feel the touch of a baby's skin, or a loved one's hand in ours, or a hug when we're needing a good cry, and a slap on the back when we have saved the day for someone. These and more are ways that we welcome the interconnectedness of relationships that are filled with wonder and ready to be experienced with wide, open, heartfelt engagement. We can feel great, or we can feel not so great. We can feel our tears, we feel a headache. We feel our feelings, we feel awe, and we feel wonder, and we feel a fit of laughter bubbling up. And it is truly a wonder to laugh. Maybe you can relate to the experience that many people shared when there was absolutely no laughter in their lives. Maybe it began with the 2016 election results. Or when COVID locked us down. But it still seems that laughter is a bit of luxury or a rare privilege, but there is also a sense that that is loosening up just a bit. There is a bit more laughter in the world now, and it feels wonderful. And sometimes, just for the sake of a giggle, I will ask Google for a joke. Google, tell me a joke. How do trees access the internet? They log in. Why did the cookie go to the hospital? It felt crummy. And knock, knock. Lena. Lean a bit closer and I can tell you another joke. But sometimes a groan or an eye roll is an appropriate substitution for a good belly laugh. But it has a lot less wonder woven into it. So we do love to laugh. It is the very definition of good medicine. Maybe we should plan a social event with laughter as the central theme. Let's do that. We'd love it. And love is our seventh wonder. I invite you to carry this list of wonders with you into the week ahead and see if the outcome from opening to their gifts every day, even if only for a short time of reflection, doesn't increase your capacity to create more love in the world. Because to love is the promised outcome from standing in awe and wonder as we embrace our worship every day. May we hold tight to the seven wonders, to see, to hear, to taste, to smell, to feel, to laugh, and to make more love as a result. Blessed be. Let's stand and sing our sending song with wide open hearts. It is known as the Black National Anthem. We sing it in honor of our national holiday tomorrow for Juneteenth. It is Lift Every Voice and Sing, number 149. If you remain standing, I'd invite Meg up to extinguish the chalice with our trusty little stopper. And we will read our benediction together as we extinguish our chalice and leave this gathered community. We don't leave our connection or our sense of belonging. We carry with us our concern for each other, for our faith, and for the world. So until we are together again, friends, be strong, be true, be well, and be kind. And let's continue this conversation over refreshments on the patio after we enjoy the postlude.